Hello and welcome back to Zaddy's Pingo, as I was joking about calling it. We've been here all week.
And we've been here. We were here momentarily ago.
Yeah, we were here a while ago. I'm just going to go ahead and tell everybody, just right through the fourth wall. We recorded this show and it was good.
It was a good episode.
And it turned out everything was wrong.
You'll never see it.
We didn't fact check anything. We got all of our facts wrong. No, just kidding. It wasn't recording. There was no SD card in the camera.
Steven came in here and attempted to shoot us with a gun when he figured out that we recorded something that was factually incorrect.
No, there was no SD card in the camera. It said recording. The red light was on.
And Tim's mic was all the way down. And
yeah,
we didn't even know.
Because somebody had turned the... So in other words, the whole thing, we couldn't even release an audio-only podcast version of it. What a disaster.
Because you just would have heard me talk, which
WAD.
I'm sure some people would have liked. I'm sure some people would have liked.
So we're going to try to joylessly recount every single one of our jokes.
Yeah.
So I started out. I started out by saying, I'm not wearing my glasses today because I don't want anybody to mention Harry Potter, or that I look like Harry Potter.
Because we're only going to be talking about Harry Potter.
We're going to talk exclusively about Harry Potter. And then you said,
I remember reading, I think in one of his essays, he's written a lot of really long essays.
Yeah, it's good.
One of his essays he wrote about living in Japan, people would just come up to you and shout, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. But not just any person, not just any people, a specific type of people, which is Japanese schoolgirls, would yell Harry Potter at me, and it would not be pleasantly, it would not be in a flattering fashion, it would be derisively. And my glasses are not exactly like Harry Potter's. Harry Potter wears Savile Row eyewear glasses, the round frames, also worn by Ozzy Osbourne. So.
Also worn by Ozzy Osbourne? I did not know that. That's really
And then Indiana Jones wears a different pair.
Indiana Jones' professor look, I think, is really cool.
In Raiders of the Lost Ark, he has a pair of Savile Row eyewear glasses. Founded in 1898. Look them up.
Hell yeah.
$500, 18 karat gold.
The first Harry Potter related topic that we're going to talk about today is on Monday? On Monday. I feel like Monday was 400 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a leaked video of a possible Harry Potter video game.
Harry got leaked.
Harry got leaked. It's a sequel to Freddy Got Fingered.
Harry got leaked.
Yeah. It's a open world. It's a massive open world game from the footage that we saw, set in the 1800s at Hogwarts. So completely divorced from the current canon. We, a completely new setting so that it wouldn't feel too closely tied to the books, I guess. And it's just a real ass video game. It's like a real ass big Witcher 3 style.
Big boy game.
Big boy game.
It's got its big boy pants, not its little baby diaper.
No.
And it takes place in the 1800s, so it's Victorian Hogwarts. First of all, Hogwarts? That's gross.
When I first told my older brother about Hogwarts when I was reading Harry Potter as a child, so it was before the point where these were just things you could say to people and they would know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was explaining what Hogwarts was, and he just completely stony-faced just said, sounds like a British food.
Sounds like a British food. And it does, because there's a lot of British foods that have gross names.
Blood sausage.
Blood sausage. Bubble and squeak. That's a food.
Why?
Yeah, I've eaten bubble and squeak. It's okay. It tastes much better than it looks.
Does it taste like bubbles or squeak?
No. It tastes like something that made a bubbling in the pot and then a squeaking sound while it fried. So, Hogwarts. So a hog isn't just a pig. It's a gross pig.
It's a nasty pig.
It's like what you call a gross pig. I believe that's in the old Farmer's Almanac. I believe it's Farmer's Almanac. I believe that they have a picture of a pig and then it says, if gross, comma, and then in quotation marks, hog. If gross, then hog is, I believe, the distinction. I believe that's the identifying mark of a hog, is that it looks like a pig and it is a pig, but it's a gross one. And then warts, it's got gross stuff on it. So that's disgusting.
If it makes you feel nice, then that's a hog, all right. If it fills you with sad fog, then buddy, that's a hog.
Yeah.
That's the rhyme that the farmers say about pig. What makes a pig and a hog a hog.
If it's pink and it's big, buddy, it's a pig. If it's gross like a fog, dude, that's a hog. So it's like a big butt, big boy video game.
Yeah,
okay.
It's developed by Avalanche.
Well, that's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
So I've been around video game news long enough to be pretty sure of when something's a rumor, when a rumor's credible. And that video footage looked pretty real.
It looked
Avalanche, WB.
I mean, it looked so much like a trailer that was still being worked on.
Yeah.
and there was so much footage that it made me feel like it was real. If it was
it ain't some
like
kid
a lot
fooling
of like
around with Blender, it was real.
there was like a, it's really easy to, make a screenshot and then put it, take a shaky picture with your iPhone and then be like, oh, E3 leak.
It's a leak,
but this one, like, so much work would have had to be put into it. It was off-screen footage, so it wasn't, we aren't looking at it in the highest fidelity. But there's a level of polish that made me
it's gotta be real.
It's got to be real.
So it's
I need it to be real.
This is kind of like
honest.
in line with what Avalanche is doing too. It's because they made that Mad Max game, which was also published by WB.
Right.
And then there's WB's doing a lot of, to borrow a 1990s literary market term, they're doing a lot of defamiliarization because their Shadow of Mordor is a defamiliarized Lord of the Rings. Why not do a defamiliarized Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
And then if you get to name your own character, what would you name your character?
Just Rihanna. I always name them Rihanna.
I would name my character Bubba Dubbidsby Buff Dubbington is what I would name them.
So this week also, because Harry Potter was on my mind, I wrote an op-ed, which I want to remind you is an opinion editorial.
Opinion editorial.
Opinion editorial. Sometimes in journalism, you write down your opinions.
In British journalism, they call it an oopsie edsy. See, that's a joke that wasn't even in the previous recording of this, so we're doing good. It's a warm-up. I have to go to the bathroom really bad.
In Australia, they call it an oppie-eddy.
An oppie-eddy? Crikey, mate. Quite the oppie-eddy in this week's... yeah, I'm going to stop. Sorry.
It's really funny. I'm sorry. So I wrote an op-ed about J.K. Rowling. I read those books when I was really young, and I love them. That was over 20 years ago now.
Yeah. The Philosopher's Stone is the one I read.
Yeah, because you read the British edition.
Because I got the British edition, because that's all they had. That's all they had in the English bookstore in Japan.
And I like those books as sort of a discrete object. I feel like the story is very complete. It's got a beginning, middle, and end. There's an arc that Harry goes through, and by the end, it's over. But J.K. Rowling just seemingly can't resist adding new things to the canon, sometimes just by tweeting it. And this first started with her revelation that Dumbledore was gay, and that actually came from talking to David Yates. David Yates wanted to include a scene in one of the movies where Dumbledore recounted a lost crush he had, and JK was like, actually, he's gay, so you can't do that.
She just went, by the way, mate, is how she started the sentence. She called him
Oi,
mate.
mate.
Oi, mate.
You what?
Would you like to know a fact, mate, is what she said. That
is what she said, exactly what she said. We're just quoting her directly now. But sometimes, she just tweets this stuff. Like, at one point, she was coming, fans were disappointed in her and said that Harry would be disappointed in her because she didn't support a cultural boycott of Israel because of, Palestine. And she wrote a twit longer, which is a way of writing an essay and publishing it directly to Twitter.
I am against that as a practice,
it's bad. I think it's bad also.
It's not right.
Just get a blog. She wrote a twit longer that said, it implied that while Harry might have disagreed with her in the beginning of the books, by the end of the books, Harry would have agreed with her. And it's just weird to know what J.K. Rowling thinks Harry Potter's position on Israel and Palestine is.
Yeah.
Do I need to know that? Not really.
Because we already know his position on unicorns, which is they're real, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, at that point, any actual real-world political affiliations of characters pertained within those books is a little bit ridiculous to consider for even a second.
And it's not. She wrote these books 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago.
She wrote them in a Starbucks. Was it a Starbucks?
Yeah, I think so. She was...
Everybody in Scotland knows somebody who...
at the time in a deep depression. She has clearly, Harry Potter saved her life, and that's amazing. But it also saved a lot of other people's lives. And there comes a point when you have to just let something go and exist in the world. Every time I write something... People read my op-ed and didn't like it. And you know what? That's fine. I did the work that I could do to try to make a point and support it with arguments. And if you don't agree with me, then I guess there's nothing really else I can do. I can't tweet at you and retroactively add things to my essay that weren't included in the essay.
Yeah.
And the more you try to do that, I feel like it just weakens the work overall.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff she's sort of tweeting out there, I think it's pretty dumb. I just think it's dumb. And it doesn't make me enjoy the books less because the books I'll always be, a little part of me is always that 10-year-old that first read Harry Potter, and
a little part of me is always that 26-year-old that read Harry Potter.
It just hit me at the right time, aka 10.
So, what I said in our last attempt was, J.R.R. Tolkien probably would have done this because he gingerly inflated Lord of the Rings over
And
the
The
years
Hobbit.
by adding little things to it in subsequent editions. Ginger inflation,
Yeah,
I called it.
ginger inflation, when there's more redheads.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me as a big-time Harry Potter head is...
A pothead, I believe they call themselves.
that too. Is the part of Harry Potter that I find most interesting is the thing that she has not retroactively added any canon to, which is the era of history, of Harry Potter history, where James Potter was in Hogwarts, and
James
then
Potter.
the First Wizarding War after that.
His wife, Lily Potter. Last time I took great pride in acknowledging that I remember the names of characters in the Harry Potter books.
What are the rest of the Marauders' names?
There's Big Boy. There's, oh man, there's Chuffy Bub Dubdington.
Yep, that's
And
one.
then there's Bubbles Fluffingdon, I think. Bubbles Fluffingdon. So
it's
Flumbus Bub Dubdington.
Remus, Peter,
Remus.
and Sirius Black.
Sirius Redus. Sirius Remus.
Is that Norman Reedus's brother?
Yeah, Sirius Redus. So last time I went on a bit of a sort of a rant about stop referring to the previous attempt to record this episode because it'll make me sad. So I was talking about how like lately I've been writing a fantasy novel series. So look forward to it about 10 years from now because it takes a long time. Fantasy novels are about characters. It's about putting characters together. And when there are a lot of schools of thought about world building in fantasy fiction. Some people believe you should do world building. Some people believe you should make it up as you go. Some people like super sincerely believe that making up the world building as you go and making up the history is definitely the objectively best way to do it. And I am not sure I 100% agree with that, but I know that a lot of authors have what they call a Bible, right? Stuff they know about the character that you don't. That they're not going to put into the book. It might end up in the book, but it might not. Stuff they know in the background while they write it. And there are a lot of authors who will, like Harry Potter's J.K. Rowling. Is it Rowling or Rowling?
Rowling, I think.
If you go bowling with her, is it Rowling? And if you go rowing, is it Rowling?
Yeah, I think that's how it works, actually.
J.K. Bowling?
JK Bowling.
So I think, I think she'll say a lot of stuff about her world building, and it's like, Dumbledore's gay, and it's like, did she have that written in a Bible before?
Yeah, like when she told Hollywood Reporter that there was actually a Jewish character at Hogwarts, Anthony Goldstein, but
Yeah.
all the characters in Harry Potter celebrate Christmas, and they celebrate Christmas by
Christmas,
name.
Christmas, yeah.
And, their holidays breaks, again, are around Christmas. Like, Hanukkah happens at a slightly different time.
Is it Hanukkah or Hanukkah? That's a joke.
We should just
I know
ask
it's
Jason.
Hanukkah. I know it's Hanukkah.
Jason just swoops down from the ceiling.
So about these world building, these Bibles, right? The best, most egregious example of someone claiming to have a Bible is Star Wars. George Lucas is like, I've got this really long, intricate story about the Clone Wars and about how Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader and how he has this long emotional feud and this battle with Obi-Wan and how he ends up, they have a fight and he becomes Darth Vader. And then when the gun was to his head and the hot lights were on him and he had to write the story, it's like, dude, there's no way you had a Bible. There's no way he had that all written down.
No, if you watch those movies, you can tell that there was nothing there.
So
There was nothing there.
So I feel like I read, believe it or not, I read about 200 books a year. And
I don't
have,
read that many, but I read a lot of
You
books.
read a
too.
lot of books.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over the last 20 years, I've read an average of about 200 books per year, which is a lot of books. Maybe it's too many. I don't know. So I feel like I've developed a sense for when somebody has actually written the Bible for their book, when they actually know what's up. I think maybe she doesn't really know what happened
Yeah, and the
during that
Marauder
Wizarding
era
War.
is actually very important to the Harry Potter books. But I just really am interested in the arc of James Potter goes from a vicious bully to someone that Lily Potter marries after he cruelly made fun of her best friend,
Yeah.
and then turns into a political revolutionary, essentially. And
It's a
that
big
arc,
story.
That arc is cool.
Yeah.
What's also interesting, so many things about Harry Potter are interesting to me. I mean, the books aren't like good per se, but they are now just part of the fabric of our culture, and that is what's really fascinating to me about Harry Potter. They have become they are the one thing from my childhood that have become ubiquitous to the point of I could go up to anyone on the street and talk about Hogwarts houses and they would know exactly
Ask them what
I'm
house
talking
they
about.
are.
Even if they haven't read the books,
What house are you?
They will kind of know. I'm Slytherin. Every time I've taken any kind of sorting test, I got Slytherin.
What house am I?
Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff is the best house.
Hufflepluff?
Loyal,
That sounds too
hardworking.
what my Welsh friend would call middle class British humor. Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
What about Ravenclaw? Ravens don't have claws.
They do have claws.
Oh, did you know
They're
that I
big
actually
birds.
do have a scar on my forehead? I showed you this last time, and you
Yeah.
were surprised.
Yeah, I was. I didn't know that at the time.
It's not shaped by
right
like
there.
a lightning bolt, but I do have a scar.
But he is Harry Potter, and he can do magic.
I was in a car accident when I was 4 years old, and my right eye was literally ripped out of my head, but somehow I can still see out of it because the doctor performed some kind of a miracle. I have this scar in my forehead because the skin was ripped entirely off of my face. So one of my earliest childhood memories is seeing the skin ripped off of my face.
That sucks a lot.
It was horrible. It was like almost down to the muscle. It was
Wow.
disgusting.
Well, you lived, buddy.
Fell off a bridge.
And your eye still works.
I'm the guy who lived. Yeah, it works. It's not super good though.
Yeah, I mean,
There's some
I feel you.
there's some pops in
You are
there.
the guy who lived, though.
I'm the dude who lived.
You're the dude who lived. This is the Harry Potter Big Lebowski mashup.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dude who lived.
The
So
dude who lived.
from
Two
my
things.
generation, it was Star Wars. You can make a Star Wars reference and everybody gets it.
Yeah.
And I guess my generation has polluted the mainstream of now because even, the kids get the Star Wars references.
Yeah.
And your generation
It's
will
Harry
also
Potter. I mean,
they will-
everyone's already sick of using Harry Potter analogies to describe politics, and I actually think that's really correct because
Yeah.
while Harry Potter analogies can sometimes be useful, this is a children's book, so the politics of it aren't actually very subtle or nuanced like real world politics are.
except the long part about Israel.
Yeah, the long part about Israel that J.K. Rowling loves to remind us of. And the two, when you actually, J.K. Rowling insists that the characters have her politics, and she's pretty much a centrist. And
Yeah.
a lot of the people
As only a rich person can be.
yeah, money changes you, man. I did never want to be rich. If you look at the book, you can have multiple different readings of how the politics of those books, actually play out or what they mean to you, and those are all just as valid. But it is, Power Rangers was just as popular when I was a kid, right? It was
Yeah.
also a craze sweeping the nation.
Which ranger are you, bro?
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon too has sort of reached that kind of ubiquity, but it doesn't have, people aren't using it to describe their lives in the same way that they use Harry Potter.
Yeah, which starter Pokemon are you, bro? It's
No.
not quite as common as which Harry
not
Potter.
really. I mean, people.
I'll say that I'm slightly too old to have hung out with Power Rangers or Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
He's got a
I'm
couple years on me.
slightly too old.
Yeah.
But my little brother loved that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
My little brother's getting married on Saturday. He
That's
grew up
rad.
on Harry Potter.
That's rad. Is he gonna have a Harry Potter
I
wedding?
think the first book came out
He's not gonna
right
have
when
a
he
Harry
was
Potter
the
wedding.
age of Harry Potter. No,
No.
he's not.
Yeah.
Because
God.
that would be too cool.
Is your brother not that cool?
My brother's not chill enough to have it. No, he's chill.
Yeah.
He's chill, whatever.
It's a huge surprise, and I think it is annoying that people relate their entire lives to Harry Potter, but that's the strength of that book, and I feel like if JK just realized that it will always belong to her, obviously. She made it up, she created it, she wrote
Yeah.
those books, but it also belongs to the world now. You
Is she
kind
one of those
of have
people
to
who-
just chill.
Is she one of those people who hates fan fiction?
She is not, but fanfic writers have it's a legal limbo.
I know George R.R. Martin hates fan fiction,
Yeah.
but his thinking is, it's so easy to write your own book, dude. Because he used to write fan fiction of Marvel Comics.
That's pretty freaking
That's how he
cool,
got started
actually.
as a writer. He
It
wrote
is
his
really
own
easy
Marvel
to write
Comics
your own
fan
book,
fiction.
But I mean, fan fiction isn't about telling your own story.
It's not,
a
no.
lot of the time, it's about
But yeah.
bringing to light a part of the story that you wish that the author spent more time on.
So I guess I can sort of feel okay with his hatred of fan fiction because his eyes are open to just the joy of inventing your own characters. So maybe his perspective is
speaking
totally different.
Of J.R.R. Martin, because we've been on another topic for a couple
J.R.R.
seconds.
You mean G.R.R.
G.R.R.
Do you think that name is a reference to J.R.R. Tolkien, of whom he's a huge fan?
Jolkin,
Maybe.
Rolkin, Token.
Jolkin, Rolkin, Mick Tolkien, Jolkin. I think.
So you were saying the last time we recorded this that
What are some stories, some books, some movies that there should be really big video games of? We have blueprints now. I watched the gameplay trailers for Red Dead Redemption 2, which is it's The Witcher 3 with Red Dead Redemption, right? Which Red Dead Redemption was paving the way to. The Witcher 3 is this moment where it's here's this fictional universe with a bunch of stuff. Let's use it to make a huge video game that people can live in and just have this huge, giant video game world that feels real and feels great. We have these blueprints now for just how to put a world into a video game, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully that's what they're doing with Harry Potter, Victorian Harry
I mean,
Potter.
that's what they did with New York and Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what they did with Spider-Man.
It used to be that, you were saying to me that used
I
to be that
personally,
these,
yeah.
these licensed games were just a way for studios to make money.
Free to play trash. Just like people are going to buy it because they love the property and the license. But now it's like Spider-Man looks like Sony. Well, I mean, obviously Sony's very financially invested in Spider-Man, and it's an exclusive to the PlayStation, so they're making a bunch of money that they wouldn't be making otherwise if it was just like Activision making the games, for example. So they put a lot of effort, they poured a lot of money into that game.
I mean, you can see it, you can feel it.
And I personally feel like it's not enough for me. I don't know. It's okay. It's just I wasn't super feeling. I need to just get back into it.
I kind of always treasure how good it feels to swing from buildings.
I gotta get back into the game.
There's like a
for
freedom
me, it's,
in that
you
really
can't always see what the web
good.
is attached to. That bothers me.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot though, but I will get back into the game. I love it. Whatever. But what are some things that need to be video games? Like I want a Game of Thrones video game that is just huge. People forever have wanted a Star Wars video game that just tells the story of like the original trilogy in like a huge, massive, open world sort of setup. Like if somebody made one of those, they've got Respawn making an FPS on Star Wars right now, and it's going to probably be the best possible people to get to do it.
Or even, doing the defamiliarized take with that, where it's like, oh, instead of a solo movie, what if they did a solo video game? Or what if they told the story of Robert's rebellion in a
Game of Thrones?
In a Game of Thrones
Set it in that era. That would be great.
Or again, like from franchises I love, I was saying His Dark Materials. Like there are tons of different stories you could tell in that universe, which is
Daniel Craig was in that movie.
And like a lot of JRPGs, His Dark Materials is about hating God and killing him. So
Kill that God.
I feel like it's just right up in the video game space already. Or they did an season 8 Buffy comics, but at the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, everyone who has the potential to be a Slayer becomes a Slayer.
What would you name your Buffy character in the Elder Scrolls Buffy edition?
Rihanna.
I would name mine Buff to be but the Bubba Duffington. Also, Bethesda had the Star Trek license forever.
Yeah.
Why did they never make a Star Trek game like the Elder Scrolls?
Isn't
that weird? Isn't it
so
weird
much
that
fun.
doesn't exist?
Yeah, it is weird. And
let us know in the comments what you want.
I hope the success of Spider-Man shows people that you can do something more ambitious with these licenses rather than just make like a cash grab.
Get in the comments and scream what you want.
Please tell us. I'm actually really interested because I feel like there is like a huge amount of opportunity to take the sort of Witcher, Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto formula and just apply it to these franchises that already have like a huge amount of fiction to them already.
I feel like the money is lying there on the ground. You pick it up,
Just grab it.
Just take it. Those Batman games were like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, they were. The combat felt very good in those games.
I think those Batman games aren't exactly enough. What if you could just like hang out in, like Luke's town in Tatooine as like Luke Skywalker in a big old Star Wars game? Wouldn't people want that? I'm not sure if I would want it, but I'm like, doesn't that just seem like an idea that would make millions of dollars?
Diplomacy as Princess Leia before she gets captured.
Yeah, it's like
that would be really fun.
Like I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of game that there should be.
I feel like that's the best way to use these licenses. I know it must be difficult to.
I mean, you
got to
share. They got to share the money. They got to share the money. So
it must be difficult to work. I mean, okay, so this is silly, but the big thing about 50 Shades of Grey, which is not good, is the first movie they actually did try to adapt it into something that is a little bit more heady.
Yeah.
And they ran into so much. The screenwriters and director ran into so much resistance from E.L. James, who had basically had
everybody loves James.
Final say on what would actually make it to the screen.
Yeah.
That they kicked off the director and screenwriter for the next movie, and she got her husband to write the script, and they're much worse movies than the already first not very good movie.
I've never seen the first movie of 50 Shades of Grey.
They're not even sexy.
Remember the previous episode when we were talking about how Harry Potter has survived forever, and I said it hasn't just survived, it's perseverus snaped?
I laughed so hard.
Yeah, it was too bad that, yeah.
Anyway, bye.
J.K. Rowling? More like...